everybody, it's Noah Schlicksup, your host here on Schlick Sports Made in the River City. I'm back with episode 2 here in season 2. And in this episode, I chat with Detroit Tigers pitcher Chris Mauloni. He's in their minor league organization now. Oakleaf and JU alumni. Had a great time getting to chat with them. I hope you guys enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. I'm here with Chris Mauloni. And is that how you say it?
Yeah, Chris Mauloni.
Got it. All right. But he's pitcher, Detroit Tigers organization, grew up in the Jacksonville area, pitched at JU. Really good story. And, I mean, All-American in 2018. You were a freshman that year too, right?
Yes, I was.
So, and then to undrafted, I mean, you're a journeyman right now and made it all the way up to advanced A-ball last year. So, getting pretty close to the MLB, closer than a lot of others there. And first off, I just got to start by asking, all had to start somewhere, but as a kid, was baseball your favorite sport growing up?
If I'm being honest, no. I actually got into a lot of fights with my dad going out to baseball.
Really?
It wasn't even my first sport. Yeah, soccer was my first sport. So that was a weird situation with my dad, and he kept me going, and thank God he did, because I was a stubborn little kid.
Well, what made when did you start to actually enjoy baseball then?
When I got to middle school and I was trying out for the middle school baseball team, I thought I was really good. I thought I was the best in town just because I played rec ball and I was really good in rec ball. And I finally got to the middle school level and I realized, oh, wow, there's a lot of people who are really good. I got cut from the middle school team. I didn't make that.
Oh, wow.
My first year. Yeah. And that was when I realized, okay, I don't like being told I'm not good enough. That doesn't sit right with me. And then that's when I got to work and I really started to enjoy the grind of baseball.
Yeah, you got to prove them wrong. I feel like, especially for any kid, rejection is just the last thing you want. And, when your parents tell you to do something, you don't want to do that. When they tell you not to do something, however, now there's where it gets interesting, especially when you're younger. I'm not like that, I promise. I'm not a troublemaker, but
I don't judge.
So did you watch baseball at all growing up then?
No, I didn't even watch baseball. It was just kind of a sport that was in my family, and I played it because it felt like the right thing to do early on.
So that can eliminate my question. I was going to ask who your favorite player was, but can forget about that. Growing up in Jacksonville, though, you mentioned there's a ton of talent in the area, especially in baseball. You mentioned soccer, your other sport. It's loaded in many sports down here. So competing at the high school level, who were some of the toughest opponents that you faced?
That I faced? Okay, growing up, there were a few guys that stood out to me. Not so much that I played them, but growing up around these guys, I knew, okay, there's some dudes in this area. We had Austin Martin, who ended up getting drafted 5th overall in this past year's draft, went to Vanderbilt. We also had Will Pillsbury, who was a left-handed pitcher that was also in the Oakleaf area, along with Skylar Arias. He was also a dude. All those guys made a huge impact on my drive, and they set the bar for me because Skylar and Will Pillsbury were all older than me. So they set the standard for me. I was like, okay, if I'm going to be anything, I have to at least attempt to be as good as these guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Austin Martin, I mean, did you get to face him at all?
No, but I played with him. I played with him on some travel organizations.
Yeah, I think anyone who follows baseball, and especially the farm system, knows who Austin Martin is. And, that just gives a glimpse. Javier Baez played high school in the Jacksonville area, and he's a guy that, if you do really well, you could be playing with now in a year or so. I mean, that's got to be crazy to think, man.
Crazy. Small world.
Yeah, it really is. And sometimes we talk about, you just mentioned there, the work, the grind that goes into being a pro athlete, especially a baseball player. Can you talk a little bit about what that looks like for you, and especially you train at Torque Sports Performance. That's how we got this interview all set up here. Can you talk about, their organization, how they kind of help you, in your development as a pitcher?
Yeah, absolutely. So I first got in contact with Torque through Tom at Atlas Sports. So I got injured my sophomore year, and I had to go somewhere to rehab. And we knew all the JU guys went to Atlas with Tom to go get rehab. And I was just sitting down, going through my program, and going through my little rehab workouts. I was talking with Tom, picking his brain, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy is a genius! I love everything he says." Nothing he said to me was confusing. He was able to simplify everything to the point where I could understand it, which was huge. So it showed that he really understood what he was talking about. And then he hit me up through Mike Casala, and he was like, "Yeah, we have a gym, Torque Sports Performance." And I went and I threw a bullpen there, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll see what it's all about." And I threw one pen. Tom stood in, gave me some pointers. My velocity jumped 2 miles per hour on little tiny tweaks. And I was like,
Wow.
"Yeah, I've seen enough. Let's go."
Yeah.
And from there, I learned how to work. I'm there 4 days a week, and I do some throwing and a lift. They have the whole situation planned out for me, and it's great. Great.
Yeah, it's a great organization. I mean, they got athletes from all over, football players, pitchers like you. You got Mike Bauman trades there from Ian Book, the Saints quarterback. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy how, seems like a pretty small organization there just in St. Augustine that's built kind of this kind of crazy resume for themselves. But
Yeah.
I believe you guys never had a losing season while you were on varsity at Oakleaf, correct?
Um, huh. Now that I think about it, I don't believe we did. That wasn't something I really thought about. That's the first time that's ever been brought up to me.
Do my research. But you pitched and you hit as well. So did you prefer hitting over pitching?
I loved hitting. Hitting was awesome. I could do it every day. Pitching was kind of like, well, I could do it twice a week, maybe, got a rest. But hitting, if I could hit, I was having a great day.
Yeah, and you also hit a little in college as well. You didn't just pitch, close out games, and you were pretty good at that. But first off, to get there, JU, I mean, what made you decide to stay local and go be a Dolphin?
Well, a lot that went into that was my plan B. So I didn't know what college was about. All I knew is, okay, I had a lot of interest from Division 1 organizations, but I didn't know where I stood compared to college talent. So I had to plan for my other route, and that was going to be through aviation. So I had to pick a school that offered an aviation degree. I actually went to JU for the ROTC program there. So if baseball didn't work out, I could fall back on the Navy, and I could use my aviation degree that I'm also getting at JU, and I could fly in the military. And that was the plan B. And so with them offering all that, there was really no other reason
Mm-hmm.
that I needed. JU was everything. They had everything I needed. It was a small school. Everyone was hands on with you. The class sizes were small. I knew I was going to get looked after there. And the campus is gorgeous. I loved it.
Yeah, I haven't gotten out there yet. I moved here just now almost 2 years ago. So everything's kind of been locked down, but I've seen photos that, especially baseball, that's a really nice facility they got there. And they've really been producing some great talent lately. I mean, you of course, Mike Bauman, and did Austin Hayes go there, I think?
He did.
Yeah, they got a really good their development has been really good over the years. And as a freshman in that kind of environment, playing D1, what's that experience like? That's a big transition from high school baseball.
It was huge. I actually didn't know how big the jump was, and it was massive. But luckily, I had a lot of upperclassmen that were really on top of their stuff. So I learned by watching and observing who the best players were. I was never shy from a challenge. I would talk to all the guys, all the upperclassmen. I'd watch what they do, watch how they eat, watch how they carry themselves. You learn that if you want to be a starter in a Division 1 school, just showing up to practice every day isn't going to be enough. You see all the guys who are really good and really putting in the time after practice. You see dudes in the weight room, dudes in the batting cages. They're always eating. They're always on top of their health. And this is outside of practice. I've walked into the weight room at midnight, 1 a.m. There are guys in there lifting. There are dudes hitting. You always see the lights in the batting cage on. There are guys trying to get a spot. They don't like being average. Being mediocre in Division 1 is unheard of. Everyone's
Mm-hmm.
fighting for a spot.
Yeah, and I just wonder. I mean, I have no experience with this. I'm 14. I don't know what kind of grind when you guys talk about there. You know, college is one thing in itself by itself, but for any student that's tough. But then you athletes as well, you're going in, putting in all that work, trying to win, and for some of you guys trying to go pro. How were you able to balance out that time? And was that pretty much all you did?
So with athletics in school,
Yeah.
so luckily for me at JU, it was a small school. So everyone was really on top of you. Like everyone knew what sport you played when you walked into class. Your professors knew who you were. You probably were in a class with like 16 guys if it was just a normal class. Auditorium classes, most of your work's going to be done online anyway. So you have time. But you have people looking out for you. You're surrounded by advisors that are always gonna like check up on you. How are your grades? How is this professor? Everyone's pointing you in the right direction. Like they'll say, this professor is easier on athletes. Probably go lean towards this professor. Little things like that. They'll keep you on track. You're not alone out there. It's not like, okay, go survive. You have tons of people who are put in place just to help out the athletes. It's really nice.
Yeah, and I mean, that really had to help you out. You know, small school environment, certainly seemed like it served you well. JU record 20 saves in a season. First team All American. Can you talk about that freshman year at JU and, what was going well for you?
Yeah, of course. Going through the year, actually going into the year, I wasn't sure if I was going to get any playing time at all. I had a really tough fall, actually. I went in to be a two-way. I didn't hit really well. My ERA was like well over 20. I gave up maybe 5 home runs. It was tough. Like I couldn't throw strikes. It was a really tough scene. And in my end of the fall meeting, coaches were like, yeah, obviously we brought you in here and you didn't really perform up to what we thought you had, but we'll see. We'll see where the season goes on and where you fit into the roster. And so our first weekend against West Virginia, nationally ranked team, we're going into that game. And as the series goes on, I'm the last guy in the bullpen to get a shot. All the freshmen have thrown already. It's Sunday. Mike Casale is throwing a gem. He goes, I think it's 7 innings, and he only gives up 1 run, and it was a home run. And it's a 1-run game. I think we're up 2-1 or something. I can't remember exactly. And I get my name called finally in the 7th inning to come relieve Mike. 3 up, 3 down. Okay. I go back out. 3 up, 3 down. Okay, that's cool. I go out to close the game. 3 up, 3 down again. I get my first collegiate save as the last guy out of the bullpen. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. I kept getting chances and I kept succeeding. I got another chance. I kept succeeding. And Coach Hayes was just giving me opportunities so long as I was succeeding. And that seemed to be the ongoing theme all throughout college, all throughout that freshman year. As long as you were doing your job, you would get another opportunity. I wasn't even keeping track of the saves record until one day late in the year. They were like, yo, you're kind of leading the nation in saves right now. Do you know that? And I go, oh my God, what? What does that even mean? I had no clue what was going on. I was oblivious to everything. And then next thing you know, the season's over. And there I am, the top of the leaderboard. And then the awards started piling in. Never had a thought about it.
Man, that's a title right there. Chris Mauloni had no idea he was leading the nation in saves.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was a place to check the stats. That was the last thing on my mind. I just wanted to keep getting opportunities.
And then 2019 went a little different for you. It was a rough season. Looks like you got injured as well. That's got to be tough going from, kind of top of the world to, it's kind of a wake-up call. How did you end up handling that?
That was tough. Definitely psychologically. That was a very tough mental place for me because I was ready. I was excited to go into the season. And then I don't even know. We were playing against UCF and then something popped in my elbow and my heart I lost all color in my skin. My heart dropped to the floor. I just remember looking down at the mound like, oh my God, I hope I'm okay. I have 2 outs. I have literally 2 outs and 2 strikes on this batter. I just need to get this one strike. I need to get out of this, and then we'll figure out what the heck just happened. And then I guess I took too much time, and my coach comes running out to the mound to check on me because I wanted to play catch with my third baseman with the runner on third. I was like, hey, Angel, toss with me. And he looks at me, he goes, whoa, what's going on? Time. And I just wanted to know, okay, is my arm okay? That was the only thing on my mind. I didn't care if that guy ran home. I knew Angel could throw him out if he wanted to do that. I said, no, I needed to feel my arm. And Hayes comes running out. He's like, hey, dude, are you okay? And I'm just staring at the mound like, oh my God, it's on fire. My elbow's on fire. I didn't know what to think. I've only heard horror stories about UCL tears. I didn't know, like me, right now, that sucks. So tough. Because I was a draft eligible sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I was competing to get signed that year as well. So they took me out of the game. The next guy comes in the game, throws one pitch and gets the save. And I was like, God, that's tough.
Yeah.
Throws one pitch, gets the save. I had a partially torn UCL, come to find out. And yeah, that puts you in a different mindset. You go from wanting to compete for a great spot in the draft to, all right, I got to get back. I just have to get healthy now. I just have to get healthy. So I go, and that's when I went to Atlas and I started rehabbing, started going through all this routines. I was trying to rush through it. And the hardest part for me was just trusting that my arm wasn't going to tear the rest of the way.
Mm-hmm.
So the conversation with the doctor was, it's partially torn. It's not completely torn. But when it goes, you'll know it. And that's what he left me with. When it goes, you'll know it. So I'm thinking in the back of my head for the longest time, oh my God, is it going to tear? Is it going to pop again? When is it going to go? Terrifying thought. And then eventually one day I was just tired. I was really exhausted thinking about it. I was like, Coach, I'm long tossing. I'm going to long toss and I'm going to push myself. And if it pops, it pops. But I'm not going to sit here and drag this on any longer. I'm going to figure it out right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I did one long toss session. It was fine. Did another one. It was fine. And I just kept going and I kept rebuilding the strength. And eventually I was able to come back for the very end of the season. The only problem was it felt like another fall for me. I had no command. It was tough. I didn't really have true feel for any of my pitches, but I was just happy to be back on the mound, ready to compete for my team, hopefully give them any sort of chance.
Yeah, and then that summer afterward had to be a lot of rehab, I'm assuming as well.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. A lot. Back to the rehab. As soon as the season ended, we went right back.
Yeah, that's tough. And then, however, the Red Sox did draft you that year, according to MLB.com, correct?
Yes, they did.
35th round. So it kind of seemed to me like it's a bit of a risk after being drafted by the Boston Red Sox to go back to JU. What led you to make that kind of a decision?
Well, so we were I was talking with the Red Sox scout for a while. He knew me in high school. They really liked me. They really liked what I had. They believed in my potential. And the thought process was, well, if they're going to negotiate money with me now as a broken player, imagine what they're going to sign me for when I'm healthy. And the thought was, all right, I'm going to go back to JU. I'm going to earn a starting spot. I'm going to be a starting pitcher. I'm going to be worth way more. And then COVID happened. You can't predict COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So the thought was, if I'm worth this much as an injured player, imagine how much I'm worth healthy.
Yeah. And then you mentioned there COVID just kind of, stopped the comeback, and you had been off to a good start too. You had, performed well against some tough teams. You guys faced Florida, and you had an ERA sitting at 3.16. When did you hear that the season was going to be postponed? And then was that kind of what led you to, make that decision to sign with the Tigers when they offered you that contract?
So we were playing against an Ivy League school. I can't remember what it was. I don't remember, but the Ivy Leagues were the first to find out, like, hey, your season's done. We can't risk having you guys, the future leaders of the world, go out and get sick with COVID. That's just irresponsible. We were playing them, and their season got banged right in the middle of our series. And we were like, oh, that's so tough. But, like, we get it. They're the Ivy League kids. They're going to go lead this country one day. It makes sense that they need to be safe. It's fine. That'll never happen to us. A couple of weeks go on, we get the call, and like we have to meet in the locker room. We all kind of knew where this was going.
Yeah.
We were all excited. The team was great. We were playing well. We looked awesome. We looked great, ready to compete for a championship. And then we got to meet with Hayes in the locker room, and he says, "Hey guys, I'm sorry, but the NCAA is canceling our season 2. We played great." That was tough. That was tough to hear. So what we did was we regrouped. Some of the players went ahead and took the opportunity to play with the local travel ball team. The Scorpions, we had dudes from Florida State, JU, a bunch of local kids from the Jacksonville area went to go play on this travel organization with the Scorps. And that's where the Tigers came out and saw me. And they went ahead, saw me pitch in one game. I threw 1 inning. They offered me right after that inning. I threw 4 batters. And they offered me a contract, and I was like, yeah, I got to go. I'm 22 going on 23. I'm pretty old. I can't risk it anymore. I'm ready. I'm ready to go be a professional. And that's how that went down.
So I'm doing the math. So that was like, there wasn't a draft and they just kind of signed you?
Yep. Signed me as a free agent.
Wow,
right there out of that travel organization.
That's kind of crazy. And that had to be a stacked travel team.
Yes.
Yes, that's kind of crazy. That's unique, but you think about it, that had to be kind of common for some guys like you during that period. And then have you met other guys who, had a similar story playing in the minors this year?
Yeah, absolutely. My best friend with the Tigers, Nick Davila, he was also on that same travel team, but he was pitching. He pitched the day before as a spot starter, and he also got offered by the Tigers. And then I pitched the next day through 1 inning, and then they saw me and they're like, "Hey, you wanna come sign?" We signed together in Lakeland, and we went and did our physicals and everything together. And we had a very similar story. He went and played at USF in college, and I was at JU.
That's a pretty cool story there. That's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't expect. I can't imagine you were expecting that. Did you even know
No.
the scout was at the game?
My agent was telling me that there were going to be some guys there. I was talking to a few guys before the game started. I had the Giants, for example, were interested. But the Tigers were the first to pull the trigger. I knew it was a great organization. They were rebuilding. They're on the right track. They're taking care of their pitchers, and I was ready to get opportunities inside that organization. So I knew it was a great fit. It was a great fit for me.
In your first year of Pro Bowl, you have to consider a success after you made it pretty far in the organization already. Can you talk about that? I mean, you said the jump to college was different this year. I mean, you had a lot of time to think about it too and get ready. I mean, can you just talk about that a little bit? Because I have really no idea what to ask.
Yeah. So the jump to college was huge. And then the jump to professional baseball was also pretty big. So if you take all the best players that you played against in college, put them on a team, and then that's who you're playing against in professional baseball. You go from being in college where if dudes are throwing like 90, it's pretty hard. They're throwing pretty hard if you're throwing 90 miles per hour in college. You go to professional, 90 is really slow. The average is like 93, 94. Those guys are like, all right, it's just another pitcher. 95 plus, those are the guys who are throwing gas. So obviously you're not trying to out throw people because velocity doesn't seem to be an issue. No one's trying to throw harder than anybody else because there's always going to be a Dominican or a Venezuelan who's throwing much harder than everyone else for no reason. So the first obstacle that I fought was ego. I didn't know how to handle not being a hard thrower in professional baseball. So I realized, okay, I got to slow everything down. Let's fill up the zone. I got to throw strikes. I got to control the count. You start learning about little things like count leverage and getting ahead with your first pitch strike. You're winning your evens, your 1-1 strikes, just getting to 2 strikes, never falling behind. Don't walk hitters. That stuff mattered a whole lot more than trying to muscle up a fastball at 95, where that's just a little bit above average. Everyone can hit a fastball. There's a reason you're
Mhm.
in professional baseball.
Yeah.
So you start learning, and once you figure out those steps, you start separating yourself from the throwers and the pitchers. That's the big difference in professional baseball.
And then this year, you got spring training hopefully coming out, depending on the lockout, and then
Yeah.
minor league season after that. This year, what are you focused on, like that next big step in your development?
The next big step for me, I want to learn the game of baseball. So I got the basics down. I get count leverage. I get situational pitching, but now I want to learn what baseball is. I want to learn how to read a hitter. I don't want to rely on my catcher as much. I want to learn how to call my own sequences. This is where I grow and I learn who I am as a pitcher. How do I become successful? Where does my stuff separate me from other players? That's my next step, I believe. Just being comfortable in my own body.
Have you met anyone there that kind of, you've gone to that's kind of mentoring you in a way?
Yeah, honestly, when you talk to someone about professional baseball, a lot of the time they say it's a very selfish thing. Everyone's for themselves. Everyone's trying to take your job. But from my experience, at least in the Tigers organization, the coaches, the managers, and the players you're with it's like a family. You're really close. Everyone's talking to each other. Everyone's sharing their ideas. Everyone's helping each other out,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we're all going through the same struggle. It was never like, oh, I'm not going to talk to you because we're fighting for the same spot. It's more like, you have your innings on the mound and I'll have my innings on the mound, and let's compete to see who has the better innings. So you talk to anybody on your team and they're more than happy to give you advice, help you out with pitch grips, thought processes. I know I'm the same way. I like to help my teammates out, especially those guys who are really close to me. Those are the guys that I'll go hang out with after the game, and we can just talk like friends, like human beings. It's a really nice environment.
And then something I just thought of here, realizing you're a minor league baseball player, and a big topic this year was kind of the pay for you guys, and that's a big topic in the lockdown right now. So I mean, you're seeing this firsthand. You're a minor league baseball player, like I'm sure you've seen some of this here. You've experienced it. Like, can you talk a little bit about that situation, what it's like as a player?
So the lockout for me, I haven't really seen any of the effects. I think most of the arguments going on are for big leaguers. So
Mm-hmm.
nothing will directly impact me, though there have been a few things that are really awesome. So like we've just gotten housing from our organizations. They're required to give us housing, which is huge because last season, just trying to find an apartment with a 3-month lease is almost impossible, especially
Mm-hmm.
in Lakeland. There's not much there. And if you want to sign up for a 3-month lease, they're going to charge you a whole lot of money because you're not required to stay there longer. So they're
Mm-hmm.
going to try and get as much money out of you as possible. And that's even if you can find a place that offers a 3-month lease. So I was paying thousands of dollars just to try and live in a house. And then, for example, I got called up halfway through the year. I had to go from Lakeland, Florida to Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yeah.
I still had an apartment in Lakeland. I was paying the bills in Lakeland. I didn't even live there.
Yeah.
So like that's tough. But now that they offer us housing, I know I can sleep easy knowing I'm not going to lose half of my paycheck. It was even more than half. It was like 90% of my paycheck was going just to a place to live.
Mm-hmm.
And that's huge. That's a huge win for us. That's awesome.
And yeah, that's a huge win for you, of course, financially and as a player, even for the organization. They're going to see success because that allows you guys to focus more on your game and what you're actually being paid to do. I'm 14. I don't know too much about that. I don't understand. I'm learning about that stuff now. So, but you can sort of get a feel like it's really good that they're giving you guys housing. And that's all. That's all the serious questions I got for you. Now I got some would you rather's. Fun things that end out the interview.
Love it.
All right. So first up, this is pretty much if you have fear of heights, this is interesting. Would you rather eat a worm or go skydiving?
Oh, I want to go skydiving really bad, actually. That's on my bucket list.
All right.
I'm a huge adrenaline junkie. I would love to experience that.
Yeah, and that's not so much for me. I did it in VR. That was enough. Um, would you rather eat Italian or Mexican food?
Oh, that's interesting. My dad's Italian, my mom's Colombian. Not Mexican, but the Latin flavors there. I'm sorry, Mom, and I'm sorry to all the Latins, but I love a good calzone. I
Oh,
love them.
that
Love
was
calzones,
close.
love pasta.
It, it's almost everyone answers Italian. That was close. I was like, are we actually gonna get a Mexican answer? Man, that's
No.
I'm not big on spices. I like my mom's tacos, but I mean, I'm sticking with the Italian flavors. And then this is a baseball question. Would you rather have a pitcher, past or present, your choice, on your team with you, or would you rather throw a no hitter at the MLB level?
Oh my God, a no hitter at the MLB level is legendary. That's huge. I would love to throw a no hitter at the MLB level. Are you kidding me? Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
going with the no hitter.
Okay, so that's over, learning the game, bringing in a guy like Randy Johnson, having him be your teammate.
Oh my gosh, if I can throw a no hitter, I'm gonna be able to talk to whoever I want. Everyone's gonna want to know who I am, and I'll use that to my advantage. I'll
That's
talk
a
to
good
whoever.
point. That's a good point. All
Yeah,
right.
everyone's gonna want to know who that kid is. Who's the kid that just threw the no hitter in the show? Oh, that's me. By the way, could I talk to you about baseball?
Yeah. Well, that is a really good point, and I really enjoyed talking with you, man. I think this is the longest podcast interview I've had, so I really appreciate your time, and yeah, it
Yeah,
was a fun interview.
yeah, I had a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you guys for watching my latest episode of Slick Sports Made in the River City. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Follow, leave a good review, and share if you're listening in on a podcast platform. And no matter what, I hope I see you next week here on Slick Sports. Till then, see you next time.